Hello guys, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. Today we are gonna launch a mission to Duna, and we're gonna be doing this with two ships. So the way we are gonna do this is we're gonna launch from Kerbin, achieve a Kerbin escape velocity, and then we're gonna launch a second ship and do the same. Then, after we hit our apoapsis on our new orbit around the Sun, we're gonna circularize that again with both ships, and after that we're gonna make a transfer burn for Duna, and this is gonna be our command ship. Oh yeah, it's really like I might pause the video while I get a ways up there and get rid of the first stage, but anyway, this is what we're gonna be using to get back after we enter Duna's sphere of influence. First we're gonna orbit both ships, then we're gonna land the second ship, which includes the lander, and we're gonna leave this in orbit, and then after we relaunch from the surface we're gonna transfer our lander crew member aboard this craft, and then they're all gonna travel back. So yeah, let's see how laggy it is once we launch, and I might just pause it. Well, it's rather horrible, but you might want to skip a minute or two ahead. Yeah, don't worry oh yeah, that's nasty. But I think that's just the Space Center stuff deloading. Anyway, it gets a lot better after we get rid of this first stage. It's 180 plus parts, so I try to keep the part count as low as possible, but whoa. Whoa. But for interplanetary missions, that's... yeah. I'm gonna be back in a second. And I'm back. So yeah, I just got rid of my first stage, and once that deloads we should be a lot better off flag-wise. We don't want to accelerate too quickly because we end up wasting a lot of fuel on air resistance. And actually where are we on our... we are on the night side, which is less than ideal actually. Okay, but this ship has plenty of fuel. It's the other craft that might be a bit tight on the energy budget, but yeah, I guess we're gonna have to orbit first, but that's okay, we can do that before we swing out on a Kerbin escape trajectory. We want to be at or slightly before the sunset line when we burn, to push us into a higher orbit as we escape Kerbin. So yeah, I should have waited until we were close to sunset, but I kind of forgot that was part of my mission plan. But yeah, we're gonna be fine. This is not gonna be a problem, and we should probably turn pretty horizontal right about now. And yes, that's good. I guess we can... excuse me. Yeah, I need to do something about that ventilator. Anyway, yeah, we should be just fine. This might include some long burns, and I'll try to provide some interesting commentary then, or maybe if I have nothing cool to say, or anyway something I think is cool to say, I'm just gonna skip ahead. Well, not skip ahead so much as pause the video and come back once something happens. Oh god damn it, this computer. Okay, want to turn ourselves ever so slightly, and we want to turn our engine back on. And yeah, I'm probably gonna do this in 3 parts. One part being... whoa. Yeah, those are off. Bit of a lag spike there. And once again we're having trouble with this crap pushing us off balance. But yeah. Oh, what was I saying? Yeah, 3 parts. Anyway, I'm thinking we might divide it so that once we achieve a trajectory that intersects with Duna's sphere of influence, we're gonna end one video there, then end the second one when we land, and the third will include the crew transfer, the EVA crew transfer, and the return to Kerbin. So yeah, I did this once already in a simulation which somehow left space debris behind in orbit, so I know it can be done, but there might be a few hiccups, although both ships do have a certain amount of reserves, so it should be fine. Anyway, let's accelerate and here and get us a stable orbit so we can launch our second ship. Okay, and why are you lagging right now? Is it because of these? Oh, I think it might be actually. Let's accelerate away from them since we need to burn anyway. And I'm gonna be using the nuclear engines for a lot of this, because since we have to go such a long way and since this involves quite a few long, well, serious burns in deep space, we kind of need the fuel we're gonna save there. So yeah, and I've noticed that the efficiency of these goes way up very quickly, so that's why I ran them inside the atmosphere from the start, because the fuel expenditure goes down to something that is, god damn it, what the... Anyway, the fuel expenditure goes down very quickly as you rise out through the atmosphere, and quickly reaches the point where it's more effective than any other engine. So yeah, so we're gonna go through this space center and we are gonna launch another ship. So this one is Duna 1. Yeah, 180 parts and 183 parts. And we are gonna have to wait a second for it to load. Then we're gonna have to wait until we reach the appropriate time of day. Yeah, and Jeb is gonna be flying this one, while the rest of his traditional crew pilots the return capsule. And as you can see, this includes a few parachutes to help us slow ourselves down as we land on Duna, because, well, we are probably gonna have a fair bit of speed as we come in, and these are gonna help a great deal since Duna has a pretty thick atmosphere. Not anywhere near as thick as Kerbin's, but I'd say a third or a quarter of it anyway. The parachutes tend to open at about 8,000 meters and fully flare open a couple hundred meters above the ground. At that point we can just use our rocket motors to slow ourselves the rest of the way down, and to just drift gently downwards until we touch ground, at which point the parachutes automatically vanish and we can step outside and take a walk. Yeah, I'm gonna pause here because the lag is gonna be insane. So yeah, I'm gonna be back in just a second. And I'm back. So yeah, we've launched our Duna 1 lander ship and we are here, and if we are positioned like this we can just burn upwards towards 90 degrees and head straight for Kerbin escape without having to worry about achieving Kerbin orbit. So that's what we're gonna do, and we are gonna be orbiting the Sun at about 15 billion meters, and that's the height I've calculated my Duna intercept maneuvers for, and I did have to use a tiny bit of math to help me figure it out. So well, anyway, you might want to watch how I do this so that you can replicate the process yourself, because it is a lot more difficult than just getting to the moon. That's actually pretty easy compared to this. This is like the next level, especially since you have to use two ships to get there and back again in any sort of realistic way. So yeah. Whoa, don't lag like that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so it didn't explode when the engines cut off and wobble like that. Not that it's done that, but it looks iffy. Anyway. And now we're gonna do one of our long burns. Yay, so. Right here, and we have periapsis of 2.5 kilometers, which is yeah, and we're just gonna go for it. Aim it like this, and why are you lagging like that? Is it cause of all these parts around here? That's annoying. I need to remember to set my max space debris to 0 actually. Yeah, that's rather bad. Okay. Is it just in the map mode? Yeah, I guess it's just in the map mode, huh? So anyway, yeah. Yeah, and this is our interplanetary part. Well, the interplanetary part of our vessel. And I use these 4 nacelles with the nuclear rocket motors to get me to Duna, and then I do my landing with these 5. Central and for the gimbaling and the control it will give me, and these 4 outer ones for the raw power. And these are the non-vectoring kind, incidentally. So yeah, and the parachute should take care of a lot of our braking stuff. If by the time we come down on Duna we still have some fuel in these, which I did the previous time I did this, when I tested this out, then we're gonna use it to get rid of some of our speed before we actually really come down. But we should be able to get into orbit since Duna's gravity is pretty low with whatever we have left, even if it's just this center part. So yeah, the really dangerous part of the mission, other than the landing that is over. We've gotten our ships into space and now we can get on with it. So yeah. Okay. As for other missions, Eva or Eve or whatever it was called. I think it might have been Eve. Scroll out, scroll out, scroll out, scroll out. Yes, Eve apparently has a bigger gravity and a thicker atmosphere than Kerbin, or at least a thick atmosphere. So it seems like it's gonna be a pretty difficult landing and takeoff. So I'm not gonna do that just yet. As for the inner planet, again, it's pretty difficult, so I think I might launch a set of missions to the gas giant next. But if you think I should do differently, please leave your comments, and by all means I will consider them. So we should, once we get a couple of 100 meters per second of more delta V, once we speed up by a couple 100 meters per second, we should escape Kerbin and get an orbit around the Sun. And then we're gonna switch to our second ship and oh, why the fuck do you do that? Anyway, we're gonna switch to our second ship and do a similar burn there. So, oh, and the moon is in the way. Yeah, but that's on the... That's when we're supposed to swing back towards Kerbin, and that's not gonna happen, so it shouldn't interfere with us. I think. I think it's the space debris that's causing that. Okay, so what's our eventual apoapsis? We want that to be higher. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we go to this... Actually, no, we don't need to go to the space center. Forget that. I'm gonna do this... Yay, so... Okay, and this vessel's mission time might be pretty high, cause I kind of checked to see if... Yeah, 18 days. To check to see if maybe I could wait for Duna for Kerbin to catch up with Duna, so we could do our transfer burn sooner, but really, yeah, we're gonna have to wait anyway. Although I will pause the video for... At that point I won't put you through all that waiting, probably. Maybe I will. Okay, no, we want to burn here, over the launch pad. Okay, how are we positioned? We're positioned pretty well. Okay. And this interplanetary vessel is pretty similar, except that it has RCS plus a bigger command pod. Also, it has only the nuclear engines and has no second set of drives. Yeah, it only has a central drive and one set on the outside. And these are just fuel tanks for, you know, extra range. I kind of planned originally on using this for syncing our orbits for our EVA, but if the lander has any fuel left, I'm gonna use that as much as possible to save the command vessel's fuel. Okay, and yeah, we should burn. And we need about 2,900 meters here. So yeah, I think I'm gonna pause the video here, and I'm gonna be back once we get close to our apoapsis around the Sun. So see you in a second. And we're back. Whoops. Yeah. So both of our ships are heading towards the apoapsis. When you do this, you want to record how much time it's gonna take to get to the apoapsis with each ship, so that you can select whichever one will get there sooner, finish the circularization burn with that one, and then switch to the other one. Now this is gonna get to its apoapsis 5 days, nearly 6 days later than this one. So we're gonna finish our circularization burn here, and then we're gonna switch to the other ship and do the same there. And since we can modify our orbits here much more efficiently, since we don't have such a we don't have such a high angular speed, I think the term is. It takes a lot longer to complete the same amount of degrees in our orbit. So we can modify things. God damn it, I think it's the recording software actually. Well, I don't know. Anyway, we want to push the other side out to 15,000 as well, and then we're gonna have to wait a little bit to catch up with Duna, since our orbits are so similar, since there's so little since there's such a small difference between our orbits relatively compared to the difference we would have when orbiting Kerbin and heading to the moon, we need to be pretty close to it in order to intercept it. It needs to be just a little ways ahead of us instead of a great deal. So wow. Anyway, yeah. So if you can see my mouse, if we were to burn right now, Duna would have to be around here, otherwise we would miss it. Actually, let's